Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 83 of my Guild Wars 2 Let's Play series. Over the course of the last few episodes, we have been exploring chapter 7 of the personal story, the level 70 story that we can do in Guild Wars 2, and today we are going to be completing the final missions for this chapter, starting with the Battle of Fort Trinity, which all players do, and then we will be doing the three kind of like final little missions at the end of each of the different arcs through chapter 7. So let's go ahead and head to Fort Trinity, which this is very exciting because Fort Trinity is on the coast of the Steam Spur Mountains, but it is at the start of a brand new map, the Straits of Devastation, which is the first of 3 maps in ore that we will be exploring through during the personal story and vanilla Guild Wars 2, which is very exciting. We are entering the end game of vanilla Guild Wars 2. Which, in order to get to Fort Trinity, there are 2 different waypoints that we could go to. One here at Merkvale, and then one here at Brackwater. Where let's go ahead and go to Brackwater, because this is the way that I went into Straits of Devastation for the first time, so I'm just going to mirror that a little bit. Right up this hill, we have this map portal leading through this canyon, and we can enter the Straits of Devastation with this very cool loading screen art that I've always spent a lot of time looking at because it kind of looks like a skyscraper, but this is resembling kind of some ancient Orient architecture and towers, where the Straits of Devastation is very cool because we do have a bit of a transition right here, which is going to take us from the Steam Spur Mountains and kind of like the swampy regions south of Kryta and into ore, which ore is very special. But we can see a little fortification off in the distance, which may be our destination, but we do have a scout here. Now, a very interesting thing about the Straits of Devastation, and then we can also see over here in Malcor's Leap, and then also over here in the Cursed Shore, these 3 maps don't have tasks. So every single map that we have explored so far in Guild Wars 2, and then the map that we will be exploring in the future of Frostgorge Sound, all have tasks, also known as Renowned Hearts, also known as Hearts, that you can do, which are basically just kind of like quests in a specific area of each map that you can complete. But in ore, we don't have any of those, and these maps are much more event-centric, where there are a ton of events around here, but we can still talk to the scout to learn a little bit about what is going on here.
These are the Straits of Devastation. Take heed of the name. This land is treacherous and crawls with risen threats. You'll need allies to survive. The Pact is organizing our troops at Fort Trinity. I recommend heading there immediately.
So let's head there immediately, and we can go ahead and run down this road. And there are a ton of Risen along this road already. There's some Risen rot mouths, an event going on right along this road, and we are just like thrown straight into the devastation and how dangerous this area is. We do have a waypoint right over here, which might be contested, maybe not. It looks like it is not contested, and we can come over this way to see Fort Trinity, a very cool area. We have a little lumber camp right here, which is helping supply Fort Trinity, but it seems like it's kind of under attack right now. There's a lot of like poison and stuff in the air, but we can go ahead and come this way. And I love how Fort Trinity looks, because the entire Guild Wars 2 personal story basically like starts off with like the 5 different races, and then the races join the orders, and the orders create the Pact. But if you just take a look at Fort Trinity itself, you can see a lot of different themes here, where we can see a lot of what looks like kind of like Char architecture, and then we can see some Asuran architecture, and then we can see some Zavari hints as well, with like all the like thorns and vines and whatnot. And then you could get like maybe some hints of human and Norn a little bit if you like stretch it kind of. But I love the combination of human, Zavari, and Char architecture to create what is a base of the unified races of Tyria as we march against Zaitan. But we have our story mission here. Let's go ahead and do the Battle of Fort Trinity before we explore Fort Trinity proper. A very cool loading screen art there. And we can see a bunch of Vigil and Pact, and we'll see some Order of Whispers right there.
Commander, good to see you. Marshal Traherne is waiting for you.
And we have Marshall Traherne.
It literally prevents the dead from rising again.
Then I wish we had 100 of them. How does this work? Can we replicate it?
Not so far. The only thing we know for sure is that it's steeped in powerful magic.
As long as it works, we can figure out why it works when the war is over.
Zaitan's forces are coming. Why aren't the Asura gates functional?
I'm sorry, Marshal. We can't seem to isolate the problem.
It could be our proximity to ore. Or maybe we've got the saboteur.
This is critical. Without those gates, we're cut off from any reinforcements.
Knowledge defeats darkness.
Greetings, Commander. I was sorry to hear about Ton. He was a huge asset, and much admired.
Thank you, sir. The mission was a success, but that's small comfort to his loved ones. Or me. Ton was my partner, so I take full responsibility. That said, I see you've done well. Fort Trinity is certainly formidable. And from all the activity, I'd say it's growing even stronger.
It better be. We've seen a huge increase in undead activity while we've been constructing our defenses. I believe a major attack is imminent. All the signs are there. Our outermost defenses have suffered a series of probing attacks, and we've lost several long-range scouts. We recovered a powerful magical orb from the depths, and we have Ton's best explosives. But there have been some disturbing glitches in communication. Fort Trinity is not yet secure. Worst of all, our Asura gates are not functioning, and nobody can tell me why. Magical or mechanical failure, saboteurs. It's all very disturbing. I want you to double-check our defenses, starting with the lumber camp. They've lost a lot of workers, and we need that timber. You take point.
So let's go ahead and head back out to that logging camp that we were exploring earlier, right over there. And Fort Trinity is just incredible. I do love a good, like, massive fortress, and I think the themes here with everything that I said already is very cool. But we are going to see like a few different areas inside of Fort Trinity that is just very, very cool as well. But first, let's go ahead and run over towards this camp right here. You can see some char machines of war hanging out. Got a big tent.
We're behind schedule. Traherne needs more lumber to strengthen our fortifications.
The last logging party we sent out is still missing. We have no idea what happened to them. Until we do, we can't risk sending any more.
All right. Organize a search party to find the missing loggers. Once we find them...
So it looks like there is a small group of Risen attacking us. A Risen Corruptor right here who chills, and a Plague Bearer over there who steals life and transfers conditions. Two very thematic undead. Also a Risen Corruptor over there as well. Some more Plague Bearers, and now a Putrefier point blank area of effect. And this is kind of just what I've been talking about over the last few episodes, where we will be fighting more and more interesting undead as we get closer to the heart of Ore and Zaitan's domain. It looks like this attack is kind of becoming a little bit bigger. We have a bigger group here than we had at the start. Let's go ahead and try to deal with them. They're kind of just coming out of the trees and the ground right now. Let's get this one out of the way, and then we still have one here, I suppose. So now we need to defend the gate. If we look this way, we can see a group of Risen charging towards the gate. So we came out here to check the logging camp, and then they attacked us, and it looks like they're starting to swarm the gate now. So let's go ahead and get out this way. We do have some defenses right here. There's some arrow carts we could potentially use. Let's try to AoE this group down. Let's come over here to the arrow cart. And we could use this a little bit just to deal a lot of damage. Kind of similar to Road vs. Road, but it's fun to use it here in PvE. Except we can't use it too close to us. Maybe come over to this one, a little further away. And then we can deal with this group. Arrow carts are always fun to use because you just hit so many enemies. And like in Road vs. Road, you get like a lot of tags. And then when the enemies die, you get like rewards for them dying. Looks like this group here isn't too bad. Just a couple more left to deal with. One way off there in the distance. And I guess I spoke too soon, as we can see another group of undead just appeared back there. It is nice to just get some like long range damage on them before they get close to us. You have bleed and poison and cripple. And it looks like there are some giants walking this way. So we know Zaitan can rise many different creatures from death.
Fort Trinity is in danger. Leave us and seal that gate.
And that includes giants. There are like 9 giants right there, and they are incredibly dangerous. So let's go ahead and use the 2 front gate switches. So we are just going to lock those people out there, and we can go ahead and just fall back. It seems like we have lost the gate to Fort Trinity, but fortunately for us, we can just like close the gate, and this will provide us with some defenses. So from land, we are okay, but we have a land entrance there. We have a docks right here, where we have a bit of a water entrance. And as we run this way, we can see some Risen coming up out of the waters, particularly some Crate and some Quaggins right here. I think I like the axe right now a lot because it's kind of just like a nice ranged weapon. Where I do really want to use like a lot of melee weapons, but I feel like the melee weapons I currently have aren't super good because I've been using like a lot of dagger. Where Core Necromancer definitely has a lot of like ranged options and not so much melee, but that is something that changes as you unlock more stuff in future expansions. We can see right here is a bugged event actually, or cutscene rather, where a giant bone ship has come out of the water and is going to start laying siege to us, and we can go ahead and start firing cannons at the bone ship. What I was going to say earlier, we can see up in the sky are some airships that are fighting the dragons. So we can see that the Pact has like a boat fleet here where they have boats, and then you can see a submarine right there actually, but they also have an air fleet where we see Zaitan has a ton of Risen dragons all across Ore, and they are some of the most powerful forces of Zaitan, where we have fought Tequato and we have fought Lightgast in the past, where this is one of his like biggest strengths. So something that we can do to counteract one of Zaitan's biggest strengths is to go ahead and take the battle to the sky, so we can try to strike down the dragons flying around Ore, and you can see a ton of Pack soldiers doing that, and that is something we can do ourselves in the future. Go ahead and deal with this group first. Just chain them up and deal a ton of damage to all of them. All 4 died at like the same time. That's kind of nice. We still need to defend the docks, and it looks like there's a group that came this way. Have some Vigil Marksmen just sniping the enemies for us, which is nice.
We've lost the cannons. Ravens, Beak, the ducks are defenseless.
So we can see we just got attacked by the air there. We have lost the cannons, and there are a ton of Risen Knights that have just flown in. So let's go ahead and retreat back this way, because this is starting to get really bad. We have lost the front gate and we have lost the docks. Let's go ahead and retreat back through here, where we see a massive courtyard here. Let's go ahead and close off the docks. And we are now in the heart of Fort Trinity, so I'm going to assume we are going to have to defend this place as well, where we now have to defend Fort Trinity. We have fallen back this way. Let's go ahead and kill that plague bear. Oh, I had my dagger on. Let's run this way, where we need to use the gate switches over here, where we have seen the docks, but we have another water entrance right over here. And oh, that zombie dragon is definitely dangerous. You can see this group of Risen that have just dropped out of the sky here, but if you look down here, we can see a submarine entrance into Fort Trinity, where the Pact are using like char and human technology to create like these airships and these submarines, and we see helicopters and whatnot all across Ore, and our massive war against Zaitan that we are going to be utilizing, where we have this submarine entrance right here that we can go ahead and close, and then we can close the water gate as well. We do not want the Risen coming through the water. And then we have the Asura gates, so we can go ahead and like teleport forces into here. But there seems to be something going on with these Asura gates that we're going to have to potentially deal with. So let's run this way. We know there might be a saboteur amongst us, as they were talking about and speculating about earlier. But there might be some sort of like mechanical or magical failure that we are going to have to deal with. We have a Pact Gate Guard and a Vigil Marksman guarding the entrance here.
They had the orb. They looked like Pact soldiers, but then they changed. By the time I realized they were using illusions, it was too late. If they get the gates working, we'll lose them and the orb. We need explosives to get through.
Where this moment in particular is really fun, because over the last 3 episodes we have explored 3 different arcs of chapter 7, and those 3 arcs are kind of being combined right here. So we have one arc.
Got all the firepower you need. Ton made these bombs, and he's one of the best.
Where we have Ton, and we can take his bombs to come over here, and then we can blow up the gate, and then we are going to fight Mesmer Illusions, who have the blue orb. So those are the 3 different arcs combined into just one moment right here.
Your orb, your fortress, and your Asura gates belong to us.
Let's go ahead and deal with the Mesmer infiltration agents. Which honestly, this is like a very dangerous thing here. If the undead can just pretend to be like normal living humans and infiltrating the Pact, that could be very dangerous for us. And we can go ahead and try to get this orb back. We just saw how powerful like Mesmers are when we were exploring that chapter. And it looks like we have a Lich here. And we have the blue orb. So let's go ahead and pick it up. And we can place the orb in at the housing. So let's run this way. We can see that there's some sort of energy system that is going across Fort Trinity, and we might be able to power it up here at the Alceta generator. We just run up over here. We have the housing unit right here for the blue orb, and we can harness its powers to power the defenses of Fort Trinity. So we have activated the defenses, and now we can start turning the tide. Let's run into the Fort Trinity Center, and let's start attacking these Risen here. I'm on my dagger again. Switch to my axe. You can see a large group of Pact over there, and there are some undead this way, so let's go ahead and come deal with these groups. We might have to go fight the ones by the water gate. Okay, it looks like we have successfully reclaimed the center of Fort Trinity here, which is incredibly important for us. Let's go ahead and run back down to the docks, where we have this massive bone ship that was just laying siege to us, and we have a ton of Risen. Look at all these Risen. Let's just jump down here and get started. Just throw down all of our AoE fields and do the classic Necromancer AoE combination. So much damage. So satisfying to use like all my AoE abilities in like one massive group. But we have so many Pact soldiers with us. Let's charge with them. We have some who are unconscious on the ground here that we could resurrect. A few more defenders here. I see a couple of giant groups like right on the docks themselves. Looks like a couple more undead have joined the fray. It's going to be important for us to eventually like repair all of the cannons here, because they are definitely like very powerful defenses that we will want to utilize. We have some Pact soldiers that start attacking that group over there. Let's try to deal with this group first. Can break the fear there. One Risen defender. and a siren.
For more than 100 years, ore has been lost. Despoiled, corrupted, ruined by the presence of a dragon, an infection, withering the heart of Tyria. Fort Trinity symbolizes our determination. It stands as a mark of our unity against the dragons. From here, we will prevail. We will fight to rend the darkness with steel and flame, always looking toward the dawn. Our victory at Fort Trinity will show the world that we can strike against the dragons. When we are ready, we will prove that even in the Sanctum of Ore, they are not untouchable. We can reach the dragon's lair in the heart of Ore. We can assault Arar. We can destroy Zaitan before the dragon's infection claims us all. This battle is over. We can triumph. But the war has just begun. I'm glad we have the dragon's attention. I want Zaitan to know the names and faces of those who will defeat it.
From the size of the assault force it's sent here, I'd say the dragon has taken notice, sir. However, the situation seems stable for now. If you don't mind, I need to find Ton's widow and personally deliver the bad news.
Of course. I had Ton's personal effects sent here. There's a locket that could be a family heirloom. I'm sure his wife would appreciate its return. It's not much, but we have to honor our fallen as best we can. The war and I will be waiting when you return.
And we have successfully completed the Battle of Fort Trinity, a major story step here, and our first major victory within Ore itself, where we have claimed a few massive victories in favor of the Pact, and we are going to have to continue to keep that momentum as we push further and further into Ore, which now we can go ahead and explore Fort Trinity itself a little bit closer. We can see the cannons have been repaired, and we can actually like interact with them and use them, and we can just fire off in the distance. I kind of just fired on our own troops there. We can hold it down. Let's see a max strength fire. There it goes into the water, and that might be useful for an event that happens here every now and then. But when we run into Fort Trinity itself, we can see the courtyard that we were at, and we have the waypoint for Fort Trinity, which this is a pretty important waypoint to get. Right over here we have a side entrance to an area that we will explore a lot in the future of Care of All, but I just want to come down here or up here really quickly because we can see one of the airships docked here. And I love the design of the Pact airships and how like just magnificent looking they are, and also how important they are in the war against Zaitan, because if you have flying dragons, it might be nice to fly ourselves. So we have Terzetto Bay, and there's a risen megalodon below us, but we can see off in the distance there's like a ruined ship right there, and there are a few spires, and there's a Crate Deeps right over there. Let's go ahead and take a look at this vista. A cool shot of Fort Trinity, but we also have some diving goggles here. Let's go ahead, put this on, and I don't really want to dive into the waters of war, but alas, we will be having to swim through here pretty often because there is a lot of underwater content in Ore, because Guild Wars 2 and the vanilla version of the game does have a lot of underwater combat in general, but we can swim into here, into this docking bay for these incredible looking submarines, which I just love how they look. I really enjoy like the Pact technology vibes that we got going on, because like Guild Wars 2 is like a fantasy world, and it does like a really good job of like blending kind of like fantasy, like, you know, swords and bows and stuff with like magical like spell casting, with like some more of that like nitty gritty like basic like technology stuff. alongside like Magitech of like the Asura. I think it does like a fantastic job of combining all those elements together in like a relatively seamless way that makes sense in the overarching fantasy world. And we really see that at play here in Fort Trinity with all of those vibes going on at the same time. Right over here, we have a Prior Magister who serves as a hero challenge. Let's go ahead and get a hero point, where I've always found this hero challenge to be a little bit more difficult than other ones. She evades a lot and she kind of runs around and she deals like a decent amount of damage, but we are right next to a waypoint, so we can just like jump right back into the fight if we happen to die. And we kind of used all of our abilities already and she's only at 70% health. We have our friend helping us out now. 20% health to go. And defeated. Our first hero point in the Straits of Devastation, which these maps actually have quite a few hero points that we can get. 15 in Malgor's Leap and then 17 in the Cursed Shore. So a lot more hero challenges and less tasks and a ton more events. We have a Karma Merchant here, which there are a ton of Karma Merchants all around Ore in all three maps, where we can get some special items with Karma here, and one very interesting one is this Lost Orient jewelry box, which you can get from pretty much every Karma Merchant in the map. Now inside of this is like some Karma and like a few crafting materials and probably some trash, and there's a chance that you'll get an everlasting potion which will transform you into one of like the 4 like basic elemental enemies. So that's kind of like a fun thing you can unlock. And then there's also a mini Risen Priest of Balthazar that you can randomly get. So it's kind of like just opening them until you can like unlock the special stuff. And we see we got some Karma and then we got 10 silver worth of items there. So we could like gamble every now and then to potentially get like some fun items that we can use in the future. But as I mentioned earlier, there are a ton of events in the Straits of Devastation, and we are going to explore more of the Straits of Devastation next episode. But I just wanted to take like a quick moment to highlight that there is a northern offensive that goes into the Straits of Devastation, a central one, and a southern one, where all 3 of these offensives are basically trying to get into the Straits of Devastation, and you can help them out. And then they can meet at a packed rally point, and they are going to attack a very, very important place in the Straits of Devastation in order to try to take the territory here. And then from there you can go ahead and just march through Ore, through Malgor's Leap, through the Cursed Shore, and towards the ruined city of Ara, where there are a ton of events along that entire road that you can do, and a bunch of other areas that you can explore off in the distance, where we can see 3 scouts right here who are going to highlight the 3 different paths. So let's go ahead and just talk to all 3 of them really quickly.
Across those foul waters, the central assault on Ore is beginning. A risen crate structure in the Stygian deeps is menacing our armada bound for Conquest Marina from the harbor. We need those ships to reach the shore in one piece, so our forces can storm the beach and take Ore for the Pact.
Pact War Master Shadow Striker is leading the northern invasion of Ore. He aims to assault Brass Claw Landing with submarines and Golem launching cannons, and establish a beachhead on Ore's coast. A strong base there will guarantee our soldiers continued access to the Dragon's territory.
From the southern shore, our troops are taking the only land-based route available to Ore, across the archipelago. Our base at Squall Cusps is supporting the assault of Is al-Din Sarayi with powerful siege weapons, as the pack pushes toward the La Chate Gateway and into Zaitan's rotten kingdom.
But now we have the story mission, A Sad Duty, where we can inform Ton's widow that he was killed in action, which is a very unfortunate thing that we have to do. But let's go ahead and come this way and just explore some of the areas along the way, where we do have a waypoint over here that we can grab at Thorn Pass, and this is the other entrance into the Straits of Devastation that I was talking about, where we can go through that cave in order to get to Mount Maelstrom. And really quickly, I just want to explore this area because I've never really like looked up here. There's nothing really here, just like a tiny cave. That's very cool. where we can go ahead and continue this direction, kind of towards the land assault into Ore, where we have like the start of that entire event chain that happens down here, and we can see the meta event Southern Invasion of Ore, and there's a central one and a northern one as well, and we can maybe play a few of those events. I'm not sure how many events specifically I want to do, but I really want to focus on map completion and story completion in this entire Let's Play series. Alright, let's go ahead and start a sad duty where we have this pretty cool looking like Asuran and Char and kind of Savari combination there, look like. Ore does look really cool, and I'm excited to explore the like island continent of Ore itself. So it looks like there's some major undead offensive going on right here, where we have Pact, Medic, Sierra right there. And let's go ahead and try to kill the Risen who are attacking. We are like right outside of Fort Trinity, and this is some sort of like medic station and like small stronghold for the Pact forces to defend like this like side of Fort Trinity against any undead. And you can see there are some undead here. These ones are pretty powerful to fight, it feels like. They have more health than the ones we were fighting inside Fort Trinity. Only a few left alive though. Very dramatic death sounds there. Switch to our axe. We get a lot of attacks there. And now let's go ahead and revive the person we need to chat with.
Triaging them when something hit me. Hard. Come on. Stick with me while I see to the rest of our wounded. I don't fancy another concussion.
So she is taking her duty as Pact Medic very seriously right now. She's going to try to revive and heal the wounded.
This one's already gone.
But she's unfortunately lost that one.
Here's a live one. Open your eyes, soldier. Be all right. Stay cautious.
Fortunately, one right there was alive. That is good news for her. And another.
Nothing I can do for this one either. Are there any Pact troops left alive?
Unfortunately, one that has fallen.
Lucky to be alive. Come on, get up.
And one right here, so there's good news there. Hopefully this is good news as well.
Never had a chance, poor kid. Dead before she hit the ground.
And that is very sad. But now we have to inform her about Ton's fate.
Sierra, I'm here with bad news about Ton. I was with him on a demolition mission. Unfortunately, he did not survive.
Ton's gone? That can't be. He promised me we'd both live through this. What happened? Tell me how he died.
We rigged an Orion bone ship to blow, but the explosives wouldn't go off. Ton went back to fix them. He died to save the mission.
Is that supposed to make me feel better? The war can go on without Ton, but I can't. How could you let this happen? You murdered my husband, you and your Pact. Get away from me! Just get away! Get away from me, you murderer! Ton, I'll find you. I swear it!
So, a very unfortunate and sad situation going on right now. Let's go ahead and chase after her, because she is kind of just running off into Ore right now. And there are some undead attacking her, so let's go ahead and deal with these undead and then continue after her into Lightfoot Passage. And Orion Shambler. Let's run past these two down towards the docks. We can see right here a small little dock and an abomination. Let's go ahead and deal with this enemy. Cardigan's a jetty right here. You can kind of avoid the abomination's attacks if you just like run back and forth, trying to throw as many conditions as possible. And he can't even hit us once. Look at us go. And let's try to chat with Sierra again.
Sierra, please, you have to return to camp. If you want to honor Ton, you have to live. Don't die just so you can be with him. I know he loved you madly. You were all he talked about. You and the life he wanted you both to have.
Life? What life? What do you know about him or me? Just leave me alone. Wait. What about his mother's locket? He wanted me to have it. It was all she had when she died. And now it's all I have left to remember him. You saved my life. I thank you for that. But I will never, ever forgive you for taking Tan from me. Just leave. I'll find my own way back.
And that is the end of this story mission. The cost of victory. And we have leveled up to level 78, so we can go ahead and get our reward here. We have unlocked the Crucible of Eternity story, which is exciting. And we can see this mail here from our herald, and we can go ahead and leave this instance, and we'll be back at Fort Trinity. I got the waypoint right here. You can see there are some karma merchants and stuff, and we do have some other objectives that we could get. Maybe I'll just run in here really quickly and we can take a look at this vista, and then we'll have completed like everything in this little corner of the map except for this point of interest that I'll get at some point. Let's run this way. Through here, and we can see this very, very cool area, and there are a ton of juvenile animals in here. So if you ever come into like this place as a ranger, there might be something that you can actually tame. But I just love the looks of this area, except it can be a very confusing place in order to get to the vista. We have kind of like a mini jumping puzzle here, and I can never remember how to get up here, especially nowadays with the introduction of mounts. Maybe can we jump up here? I think we would need to like jump down there somewhere, and we might also potentially die as we do this. Can we make it up here maybe? Oh, it's like very slippery. The moss is slippery. We can go there. Maybe we can. Nope, we can't do that. Okay, I think it might be up this route here. So do we have to, oh my gosh, I can never remember, over to here, and then can we climb up this? Here we go, and we can see like an old Asuran like a ruin right here, which is interesting, but we have the vista. A very cool shot there. But let's go ahead and return to Fort Trinity via the waypoint, so we have a nice and safe place to be at. And I did get 10 achievement points for completing the Cost of Victory, where we completed the A Sad Duty story mission, but we have these other 2 story missions that we can do as well, so let's go ahead and begin them. Let's go ahead and continue with our Human Guardian, where we have liberating Apatia. So we can go ahead and return to Mount Maelstrom, and we can try to free her from the crate prison she was taken to. We have this very cool loading screen art here where it looks like there's like a couple people being, or like swimming or being dragged down there.
Let me be clear. Our goal here is to find and retrieve our missing comrade, Apatia. This place reeks of Zaitan's touch, so don't take unnecessary chances. Stay alert. We move fast, we stick to the surface, and we stay together. Let's begin.
We have Traherne and a few familiar friends. We need to avoid the tainted water while traveling to the tower. So we have this familiar area, which it's probably like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, like crate compounds in all of Guild Wars 2. We have the Restless Deeps, and
as I feared, the water's toxic.
And it looks like we are going to have to stay up on the surface.
Stay out of these waters. I recognize the stench of this particular Orion corruption. It's more toxic than any poison.
I wonder if that's what happened to the crate. When I was here before, they were swarming over this whole place.
We can't assume they're gone. If the corruption killed them, They likely rose as fresh undead. Follow me, everyone. Single file, and watch your step. I don't want anyone falling into this water.
So this place previously was okay, but now the water is toxic, and all the Crate here might be dead and transformed into Risen, which is a very interesting storyline to think about. But we are going to have to travel across this place because we do have our missing friend here somewhere into this compound. So I'm going to let her lead the way there, and we can sit in single file line. Our mini Queen Jin is kind of just dying, I suppose. Stay alert. Oh, there's some Crate coming out of the water, and that's so cool looking how they just did that. Let's group them up. Spin to win, as we always do. A relatively easy fight, though I'm still like kind of gushing over how cool that was with them jumping out of the water.
The orb was the only thing protecting these Crate from Zaitan's influence. Now it will protect Fort Trinity.
In one way, that is kind of like a weird concept, where we just took an artifact that basically doomed like this group of people to undeath. Though of course the Crates, out of all groups of people, are not really allies, and it's probably for the best that they get dealt with anyways, since they are basically enemies to us despite Zaitan also attacking them. I see a veteran up there, and there are some cages hanging, so that might be our destination, though there are cages everywhere. Just stab this one a couple of times, and let's charge forward in front of the group. I don't know what I was trying to do over there. I want the fire field right here. This is kind of a nice environment to fight on because they don't have like too many places to go, so you can easily like group them up all together. Looks like we want to continue out this way, so we're just going across the entire compound here, potentially to the biggest part right over there. Though I do love seeing all the different types of boats that are present here. Some bigger ones, some smaller ones, some that are destroyed in a variety of different ways from one another. A Risen Thrall has joined the fight. It has been entirely Risen Crate, but now there's a Thrall here as well. So maybe a former Pact soldier that was fighting the Crate around here, or some other force. A Char here now as well. Of course, a very interesting thing about the Risen is that Savari cannot become Risen, which is very, very interesting. And the blue orb is a very interesting artifact because it defends against the Risen as well. And I think alongside that, another very interesting concept is how other Elder Dragon minions cannot be corrupted.
This place is littered with undead. We have to fight our way to the top.
By Zaitan and the Risen. So Branded can't become like Risen Branded, for example. Unfortunately for us, we are not a blue orb, and we are not a Savari, and we are not another Elder Dragon minion, so we will become corrupted by Zaitan should we fall in combat. Though, of course, in Guild Wars 2 we don't necessarily die when we actually die, and we just return to the waypoint. Story-wise, we never died in the first place. And we have the one, the only head slaver Nymphasa, the Crate that we fought earlier, or saw earlier, I believe. I can go ahead and jump down here. I'm pretty sure this is the same one at least. But now a Risen and a champion for S to fight. We have a full group of 5 here. This is kind of like a dungeon.
She's in that cage. We'll have to climb down to reach her. There should be a beam connecting to her cage.
Let's go ahead and climb down this way. Something's going on around here. It's a very interesting bug. Let's go ahead, climb down this beam because we see Apatia in this cage over here. So let's go ahead and climb up this beam very quickly. Let's get to the cage. There you can see Apatia here.
My quest consumed.
By the Pale Tree, Zaitan's corruption has claimed Apatia as well as the crate.
Is she aware? Is Apatia still in there suffering? Or is she just a mindless husk? Either way, this is a cruel end for a noble hunter.
It doesn't have to be the end. Having an undead captive to study, especially one we knew well, could be a huge boon to the Pact.
Don't be ridiculous. There's nothing here that we couldn't get from any one of 1,000 other undead. Apatia's gone, and we have to set her spirit free.
And when we're done here, we travel to Holbrook to tell her legend to the Skalds, so she'll be remembered forever.
That is the Norn way. Very well. Apatia admired you greatly, Commander, so you should be the one to put her to rest. Then, to Holbrook.
And another sad end to a story. Let's go ahead, open the cage, and let's strike our friend down.
Rest well, brave Norn. May the spirits of the wild guide you to the mists.
Marshal Trahan, should we accompany you to Holbrook?
Not necessary. You three return to Fort Trinity. The Commander and I will take it from here.
Let's return to Holbrook. Wish I might have never been to on this character, and I have not, but I have the waypoint right outside of it, as everybody does. A pretty basic loading screen art of the Great Lodge, but some nice details, because the Great Lodge as a whole is a fantastic area to be at. And we have Traherne down here, where we can proclaim the legend of Crusader Apatia, as many Norn around here circle around to listen to Traherne.
Hear me, Holbrook. I sing of Apatia and the legend she forged. She was many things. A lion guard, a soldier, a hero, a friend. She joined the Pact because fighting one dragon was not enough. She was determined to fight them all. Jormag, Zaitan, and any that follow. She repeatedly proved her valor and worth at Claw Island, killing scores of undead and saving hundreds of innocent lives. Moreover, she helped recover an artifact that now shields Fort Trinity from Zaitan's influence. She gave us the footing we need to strike down the dragon. Apatia's life ended on that mission, but her glorious legend lives on. Now, hear the words of the last person to fight by her side. Commander?
Let the bards sing and the Skalds proclaim her glorious name forever. Join me now until the Shiver Peaks themselves ring with the sound, Apatia.
Hail Apatia! Her legend will live on!
And that's the end of that story mission. And now we are on our Char Thief, and we can go ahead and do Delivering Justice, where we can meet Traherne at Oceanside Ordnance, which is in this area of the Straits of Devastation, west of where we came into. So a new area that we haven't explored yet, and we'll come back through here on my Savari Necromancer when we explore through this area again. But we can go ahead and get a nice sneak peek at what is ahead of us here. We ran into Fort Trinity this way, and it's always fun to run down roads like both ways so you can see what like each road looks like from either side. You can see we're kind of going up the hill here. A nice view of that waterfall. Couldn't really see that too well going down that way. Another waterfall there, and then that waterfall in the corner. Up here in Bramble Pass, which seems to still be in a very dangerous situation. On this character, I did come in through Mount Maelstrom, so we have this waypoint right over here that I can collect. And then we could just drop down the mountain here. There is like a passageway to get over this way, but we can also just drop down here. There's the passage there being guarded by some Pact soldiers. Then we can come to this field hospital, which in the open world is currently overrun by the Risen where there are some corrupted crusaders and agents in there, which is very distressing. But let's go ahead and look at this story mission with this cool concept art. And we have Traherne here.
Welcome, Commander. Siska, or her impersonator, is here. Maybe now we'll get to the bottom of this. I've kept her former squad mates away so they don't tip her off. You and I will confront this imposter personally.
Sure you want to be directly involved? Whoever Siska is, she targeted you. She targeted me too, but only to get a clear shot at you.
I'm sure. The fact that she was after me makes this my problem. The Pact needs to see me handle it, and I need you by my side when I do.
Let us confront Siska right up there. Let's run up this way. This is a very cool looking field hospital though. And then we have this Char.
I'm sorry, Marshal Traherne, but the commander has to go. I won't have anything to do with the failure who shelled my soldiers.
The commander is here at my request, Tactician. Recent events have raised serious concerns about you.
I've done the best I could in very difficult circumstances. Every soldier in my unit will vouch.
I already spoke with them. They support what the commander has been saying. You're not quite yourself these days, are you?
No, I'm better. I intended to quietly exploit my position until you were dead and your war lost, but now I'm forced to be direct. You're hard to kill, Traherne, but I'll keep trying until I get it right. Behold me as I truly am.
You claim to be Zaitan's creature, yet you speak and act as if untouched by its corruption.
My will is Zaitan's. You and your troops will be his puppets.
Labuan the Deceiver, a very powerful Orion Mesmer. Let's go ahead and deal with this threat. And just like on our Guardian with a Greatsword, we can spin a win with our elite skill. Try to get a nice backstab here. This is kind of a weird area to fight, but we have Traherne here, spinning a win himself. Just a few more stabs should do it.
At last, the impersonator is dead. Perhaps now the Pact can conduct its war without Zaitan's interference and trickery.
Zaitan's forces must consider the Pact a serious threat. Why else would they be so determined to destroy its leadership and headquarters?
I agree. They committed time and resources to crippling our alliance, but they failed. Now is the time to press our advantage before they regroup. We should start the invasion of Or. It will be a long, hard road, but we will never have a better opportunity. I will begin the initial preparations. Stick close. Once I determine our strategy, I'll need you to execute the particulars. This is what we've been working for. From now on, we're taking the initiative. A united Tyria is stronger than any dragon.
A united Tyria is stronger than any dragon, and we can get our rewards here because we have now officially fully completed Chapter 7 of the Guild Wars 2 personal story, meaning we only have one chapter of story left to complete before we complete the entire personal story. And alongside that, we have 4 more open world maps to explore through and 4 more dungeons. So we will be doing a lot more in the episodes to come as we begin to wrap up the base game of Guild Wars 2. But I hope you all enjoyed watching this episode as we finish Chapter 7, and I hope you all are taking good care of yourselves. Remember, as always, to drink some water, check your posture, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time on the Road of Tyria. Goodbye.